Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. What I'm wearing is the Swiss Army TAZ 57 M70 combat jacket smock. I've been after one of these for a long time. I've put it off, but I've pulled the trigger and I've got one. And oh boy, it is possibly one of the best bushcraft bits of clothing you can get for the money. That's a pretty bold statement there, because there's a lot of high-end brands producing clothing for bushcraft and the outdoor community, and a lot of people by now would be sitting up and saying that is just totally rubbish. But for what you're paying for one of these, you are getting so much for your money. It really is a full integrated bushcraft jacket and load carrying system all in one. And on top of that, the funky kind of camel pattern does actually serve a purpose, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this one here, as you can see, is in pretty good nick. It's vintage because it went out of service in about '83 when the Swiss Army moved over to the more traditional colour scheme, making this, well, pretty much redundant, out of service. It entered the surplus market, and it's something you either love or hate, but it has been finding a lot of favour, particularly in the last few years, and prices are going up because of that. There will be a finite amount of it on the market, because I don't know of any manufacturers manufacturing this particular style of pattern. So I'm guessing if you want it, probably get what you want now before it disappears off the market. So just a quick one about the actual camel pattern in itself. There is quite a lot to talk about, but going right the way back to how was it conceived, there is a suggestion and there is talk that it's kind of modelled on the German kind of patterns that were introduced in the last and final stages of the Second World War, and not a lot of that survives, because quite simply it was the final stages of the war, and a lot of the captured POWs ended up in behind the Iron Curtain basically, so none of it, the original stuff, survives in any sort of quantity. But it's suggested that a lot of the machinery or mechanisms to create that pattern or produce it ended up in Czechoslovakia, and from Czechoslovakia the Swiss saw it and decided that they were going to emulate it and adopt it to pretty much how they envisaged what would suit their needs, and hence we're left with Alpenflage. So there is a lot of debate about why has it got so much red in it, and there's a lot of interesting theories about it. A lot of it is just theories, but I have seen people suggest that it's because of obviously the alpine forests in winter, and that's when they would have traditionally expected an attack coming from the east. There's, well, the old Soviet Union coming over, and this here would have matched those forest conditions. But that is a bit of a stretch of the imagination. The reality is this red at distance to the naked human eye actually turns to a brown colour. You get to sort of like 50 meters, this red becomes brown, and it's more the evidence suggests, and what I've heard from other people, that it's more of an IR deterrent or disruptive when you're seen through infrared. The human eye can only see in a very limited spectrum. You get past red and it's difficult to see, plus violet. This red, when you shine infrared on it, still stays quite an effective disruptive pattern, whereas the other colours in traditional camo tend to fade out to really light colours, or even into kind of like creams and whites. So this red still offers some IR protection in a camouflage sort of sense at a distance if you're using IR. It doesn't have any heat repellent properties, so you know, any device looking for heat signatures, it's of no use. It's only really considered IR kind of use, and that was pretty much for like the early generations of IR. I would suggest nowadays that this probably wouldn't be of much relevance with new kit and equipment. So this jacket is extremely heavy, and it has to be, because when we look at it, and you'll see, it has multiple load carrying options and scenarios here. Just as a quick one, you've got the ammo pouches up front here, and as you go down through the jacket you have all the bigger pouches. There is a set loadout that should be used when it was in service by the military. It wasn't just throw everything in, from what I understand. Pretty much standard operating procedures for any military that's got any kit. The British Army was used webbing, and due to your corps regiment or even down to squadron level, there may have been an SOP for how it was to be laid out and utilised. But for a bushcrafter, obviously, we're running independent and we're not burdened by any of those sort of things. These pockets have a myriad of uses, and in fact this jacket could actually support you on a bushcrafting overnighter if you were traveling light and didn't need much equipment, i.e. the weather was good, it was fair, you weren't going to be having any extreme temperatures. You could probably get away carrying everything you needed in just this jacket. So the material is primary cotton, and it's an extremely heavy grade and thick weave. I can instantly tell it's not waterproof. I don't even need to put water on it or test it, because you can just feel it. You know that it's not going to repel any water. The British Army smock does have a limited capacity to withstand showers, but even that isn't waterproof. You would then have to supplement it with your waterproof system. So this here, as soon as it started showering or raining, you would have to get into some sort of protective shell. Obviously their military had all that. Indeed, I've got the poncho, but for a bushcrafter you would need to supplement this with a lightweight waterproof system, and as we'll see, that isn't a problem because you have so many load carrying options. You could easily slip a waterproof system into one of the pockets. Now the colour of this jacket, and I'm not just talking about the camo, can actually have a wide variety of shades of colour, quite simply because, well, like everything, manufacturing batches and how long it's been worn, been exposed to the elements, sunlight, being washed and things like that. You may pick one up and it's a lot darker than this. I've seen some that the colours are a lot more crisper, darker, and more, substantially, visually, well, in your face. This is more subdued. This one's obviously been a well-used one, and the colours and washed, and it's kind of faded a little bit, which I don't mind because it kind of gives it that well-worn look, which I actually like. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the British Army smock, bring it down and have a very quick look. I'm not doing a comparison, but you can see why I'm talking about some of the features I am. Right, you can see it looks like a smock, but I would call it actually a jacket, because the zip only comes down to your mid-drift, about here. The rest of the jacket is done up with poppers and buttons, so I would call it a jacket more than a smock. But yeah, a lot of these poppers do give you the ability to adjust it. There's multiple poppers in that. So there, this one can go over the zip as well. But like I said, I consider this more of a jacket than a smock. I've bought mine a little bit on the tight side, but I can still get all my warm weather kit underneath here. I have plenty of room, as you can see. And I'm quite a chunky fella. But if I spin around, it may look like you're even bigger on the bum area. But that is quite simply all the load carrying capacity. And that isn't just it. This jacket would traditionally be supplemented with a small rucksack that can go on, and it will attach to these brass rings, which you can see here on the actual jacket itself. The whole system was pretty much integrated. As somebody who served within the British Army, it goes against the grain with everything that I pretty much was taught and was used, or how I used it. All my kit, including my magazines, my ancillaries, and in fact, being able to survive out of I could survive out of my webbing for 24 hours with food, water, and everything I needed to sustain myself, and my weapon system was all in my webbing. Very little went into my smock pockets. In fact, you could find yourself ridiculed if you were out on exercise and one of your peers or commanders was to see you with pockets bulging. You would be pulled up and said, hey, just get some of that stuff out of your pockets. You're walking around with what was called exercise pockets. And quite often recruits would have the mick taken out of them because they'd be walking around thinking they needed everything that they could carry, and their smocks would be bulging out here and pockets on their trousers, and they were walking around like this. It comes with experience. You learn you only carry what you need. But in any case, this is a total contrast. You don't have webbing. Everything goes into the smock. Right then, putting both these jackets side by side, you can actually see that the actual TAZ 57 is a lot heavier garment. And let's have a quick look at the material. You can see how heavy and thick that weave pattern is. Bringing you over to the smock here, and you can see that's a lot tighter. You can see it's a lot tighter, thinner, and not quite such a dense weave. That's probably why that is more water resistant than that would ever be, because you can clearly see that is a really heavy, thick weave. Now this scale isn't that accurate, but it'll just give me an indication on weight and how heavy each item is. So that's the DPM British one. And I'm guessing where it started, that's going to be, take my hand off, so 7, maybe 8 pounds for that jacket. Right, I've got the Alpenflage here. Pretty much where we started before. As you can see, you've got to add a little bit because it's not fully zeroing. Let's get hook this on. Right, it's not touching anything. There. Let's see what it says. Yes, that is a lot heavier. I'm trying to read it. It's pretty... What's that? 5, 10, possibly about 16 pounds, I would say. Yes, this is at least double the weight of the DPM smock. Excuse the colour of the walls. I'm actually in my workshop, hike and stick workshop, and yeah, I'm working with what I've got. It's quite windy outdoors. I've only put this up, like I said, I'm not doing a like for like, but I'm just showing you the carrying capacity of this smock compared to the TAZ 57 Swedish Army jacket. Right, you've got this large frontal pocket here, same on this side. You've got the large pockets down here, and you have a small pocket over there. You've got these internal ones that you can unzip, which allows the jacket to breathe, and you can shove stuff down into compartments inside of it. But that's pretty much it for that particular jacket. I know there's apparently variants for possibly different cores that might have had other pockets particularly sewn into it. I'm not sure if that would be things like the commandos or para regiments, but as I was never affiliated to any of them, I ain't got a clue. This is the sort of thing I was issued. So yeah, you can see what that's pretty much got on it. So let's move on to the Alpenflage. Right, when you place that Alpenflage against that garish wall there in my workshop, it kind of suits it. But why we're here, we're trying to ascertain why I believe this is one of the cheapest and best bushcraft jackets that you could possibly want or get at the moment. And I can't think of any civilian equivalent or manufacturers manufacturing something along these lines. I could be wrong, because obviously I'm not buying high-end items. But getting back to this, you've got a single ammo pouch. They're always good for storing, and they're a good generous size. You've got a double one on this side here. Over here you've got pockets on the arms here. There's a one there on this side. No, as you come down the actual smock, you've got a extremely large pocket here with 3 poppers. Same again on this side. These brass tacks or tags would have been for the attachment points for the rucksack, but they're still good if you've got things that, like, you can put carabiners and carry things in that manner. You've got this one here, which is like a clip, and I've seen people suggest that's for carrying helmets. It makes a lot of sense to me, because we used to attach carabiners to carry helmets till we were told before we deployed to Afghan, things hanging off your clothing or webbing do become actual missiles in an explosion or IED attack. So that soon got stopped. But yeah, that kind of makes sense to me. Like I said, that single thick zip all the way down stops mid-drift or below the belly button on me. And then you go into poppers and kind of a waist popper here. It is adjustable on the inside there. You can adjust it through the elastic. But let's spin it over and have a look at what we've got on the back. So on the back, we go straight into the hood here. And that can be buttoned up out the way, but there is a veil inside we'll have a look at in a moment, which can cover your face to give you a little bit more stealth. But yeah, coming down here, the star of the show really is these pockets on the back of the jacket, just sitting above your bum. You got 2 big ones here. These are really deep, and you could store loads of stuff in these. The same here with this one. But this one here has 3 poppers, 3 along here, and it's really deep. It is a massive, massive, massive pocket. You have unlimited storage and carrying capacity just there alone. And obviously you mustn't forget the pockets we've just shown, well, we've seen just a minute ago. Right, inside the jacket you've got ties, so you can obviously adjust and tighten up the actual jacket itself from the inside part. But the star of the show is this. You've got a deep kangaroo pocket which runs down to this reinforced bit of stitching here, and it goes pretty much from this part of the jacket all the way across over to here. It really is a substantial pocket. It's got reinforcing straps here, and like I said, it really is a deep pocket inside that back panel of the jacket. And not to make anybody confused, that is the back panel, not the front. The front is this, like that, be zipped over like this. So that's actually on the back panel. So the load and the weight is pulling behind you, not on the front. I'm guessing to help counterbalance if you loaded all the pockets up. Particularly in its original roll, it would be quite heavy on the front because it would have full magazines. But yeah, how much load bearing capacity this jacket has is absolutely, for the bushcrafter, a standalone piece of clothing, which you would be hard to find anything civilian wise, indeed modern, that replicates what this jacket can do. Right, with this jacket, if you unbutton the hood, that just helps keep it out of the way. It is a massive hood there, obviously for a helmet, so it could blow about a little bit in the wind, but I'm sure I'll be able to adapt that to my needs. But you do have a face covering that will come down over the hood itself, as you can see there. It will open up wider. It's just been scrunched up, which is novel. And I suppose if you were really out to be stealthy, that might have some purpose. For me, not really. But yeah, fantastic. Get all this put away, roll it up. Right, for no other reason than just entertainment, I'm going to see if I can load these pockets up with some items and see how much that bulks the jacket up and, well, what it kind of feels like and looks like. It's not going to be a full load out. I'm just picking things at random. So I'm going to pick a civilian DD 3x3 tarp. It's at hand, I've got it. And I'm going to see if I can get this into one of the pouches. This is a massive shelter. And it is pretty much, you know, one of the core things you'd want to get up if you were bushcrafting, to be able to get out of the weather. So let's see if I can get it in this pocket. I've got full confidence I can get it in here. Yeah, that's gone in there nicely. A bit of jiggling around. And it'll go in. Right, let's get it all done up. Where's the poppers? There's the first popper. It has adjustment poppers. Where's this one too? The poppers are quite stiff. I won't do the other ones up. So I have a shelter inside of the jacket already. Right, what have I got here? Another one here. What could I get in there? I'm going to see if I can get a traditional mess tin set up in it. That's gone in very easy. I could have loaded that up with spare food as well. What can I get in it? I can actually get... This is a waterproof setup, which if I was going to use it as a standalone carry system and the jacket in its setup as it is, you would need some sort of waterproofs, and this is it here. So I'll get these in. shelter system, cooking utensils. I could have put a cooker system in there as well with it, but I haven't done. Right, let's just bring this around. It is feeling heavy though now. These are big pockets here. What could I get in these? There. Water bottle. And there's room to spare in there. Obviously you'd want to distribute your weight. Let's have a look. There. Get another water bottle in there. That's only taken up about half the pocket. I could stuff food, like dried food and things like that. Indeed, bushcrafting equipment, possibly your knives, some tools, some other stuff that you might want to take into the location that you're going to be bushcrafting. I'm just wondering, could I get a small sleep system? If it was really good weather, there's every chance that just a bivvy bag would do. That would probably go into the internal pocket. I'll see if I can get one in there. Right, I took it off the coat hanger because it's actually getting too heavy for that plastic coat hanger. Can I get this in that kangaroo pocket? It's obviously going to make it a bit of a hunchback, but to actually get in, will it go in there? Let's have a look. That has gone in there. Compress it down. I've got a complete bivvy bag in that kangaroo pocket. Right, let's get this. Oh, this jacket weighs an absolute ton now. You can see why it's made so heavy. Yeah, oh, that is heavy. Right, that wind is getting up. And right, how does that feel, all this weight? I do feel quite bulked up, but you can, it's doable. Right, I've got this jacket on, it's completely bulked up. I'll let you have a look as best I can. I've got a shelter system, a bivvy bag, water bottles, canty, mess tins. You know, this could, and I've still got plenty of room to load it. I've still got loads of other pockets that I can load out. Yeah, this is a self-supporting jacket that you could call possibly a standalone bushcraft item. It could be even classified as a survival item, or a bit of clothing, because you can carry everything you'll want in it. I'm not suggesting it's going to be comfortable, and I have to be brutally honest, from my 12 years in the British Army, you know, even doing range days and things like that, before you start talking about going on exercise, running and trying to get over obstacles and things like that, I really don't feel that the Swiss Army did their guys any favours comfort wise if they were on their belt buckle shooting or trying to climb over obstacles, because you're hindered by it all over you. But you can walk, and you're not carrying a backpack or rucksack, which gives the game away when you're going to the location that obviously you're carrying stuff in. This just looks like you've ate one or two too many pies, but it's still a fantastic item, and I'm really impressed. Right, we're back where we started, back down in the woodshed. Yeah, my conclusion is this is a fantastic bushcraft outdoors person, adventure, woodsman jacket. Like I said, I've not seen anything comparable for the money. You can get this from the surplus stores online. The quality build is second to none. I mean, there's even a rubberized pad here for when you put your elbows down, obviously to go into a shooting position. This would stop water or dampness, you know, getting into your kit, your like warm kit. So yeah, it's a fantastic item, but there is a couple downsides. Firstly, like I said, it's cotton. It does actually feel quite warm. I mean, even though it only comes down mid-drift, you can do it up, so it does stay, you do feel warm in it. And I forgot to mention, there are zips here on the cuffs which you can do up and down to give you ventilation. But getting back to those downsides or the negative points, it's extremely heavy. You can feel the weight on you unloaded just wearing it as I am now. It's definitely, well, it is, it's a lot heavier than its counterparts that I'm using. So you've got weight as a downside, and the fact that it's not water resistant. A lot of people talk about things being waterproof, but if you've been an outdoors person, you usually know items that say they are waterproof, in general, after prolonged periods of being outdoors in torrential rain, they will still soak through, or you will be getting wet. But this has no water repellent capacity at all. You do have to carry a small waterproof shell system to go with it if you're going to be operating in conditions where it might rain. As you've seen, I got a very lightweight waterproof system I can put in, so you know, all's good. But it is still a negative. Yeah, but there's small things which I can compensate with what I can carry in this coat. And the fact I don't see myself doing long distance hikes in this kind of kit. This would literally be just going into location, wild camping into the forest, or bushcrafting in the bushcraft shelter. I'm well chuffed and full of money. I paid for it 30 UK pounds. It's a fantastic durable piece of kit. It's vintage. I believe you could call it vintage. If it was 1983 it went out of service. So yeah, I think we can call it vintage. And it's, you know, there's people that will pay good money for clothing which they call retro vintage. I've paid £30, which is nothing in the scheme of things for outdoor clothing, so I'm pretty happy. So it's all that's left to be said is take care, stay safe, and I hope to catch you guys out on the trail.